John, hey, as you know, we got Steve Hauser and Larry Farnsworth on the phone once again.
That's fantastic.
Steve is the president of NFA, Larry, president of Gavel Public Affairs. So as we're getting closer to the 4th, thought it would be a good idea to get these guys involved and, see what they got going. So, hey, guys, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
All right. You know what? We wanted to get your opinion, Steve. We just read a story earlier about Zambelli Fireworks. I think they're out in Pennsylvania. They're located in 8 states, Class B primarily. They just reported midsummer cancellations of a bunch of fireworks shows. It's really starting to get meaningful. It's not unique, and it's sad, obviously, for everyone involved in the fireworks industry, even though we primarily talk about C on this program, consumer fireworks. Wanted to get your opinion if you anticipate town show cancellations and what they're going to do, and ask John as well, what the effect is going to be on the consumer side of it, all these Class B cancellations. Do you have any thoughts on that, Steve?
Well, I mean, from the Class B side, first thing I'd say is, as a former Class B guy, which is how I actually got into the industry of fireworks, my heart goes out to those guys. I mean, this is a catastrophe for most of them. This is a big, big, big deal. The 4th of July is the year in its entirety for all of them. It gives them the cash flow to continue on. Now, from the consumer fireworks side, I think the effect, barring any kind of unreasonable non-opening rules from various counties and municipalities around the country, I think it's going to be very good for the consumer fireworks industry because we'll serve as the last available outlet for a lot of folks. And I've talked with a lot of customers, and their thought process is that people that maybe don't normally buy consumer fireworks may buy them this year because there is no show to go to, and they want to celebrate the 4th of July. They want to be out, especially this year.
Yeah, John's shaking his head over here. I think he agrees with you.
Yeah, I said exactly the same thing. Even if, a lot of people come in the store or other people hear from and they'll say, no, we're not going to do anything because we're going to go see the town show tonight. We're not going to do nothing. And even if all those people just buy one firework or one item or come in the store and spend $20, those are going to be a lot more people than we ever had before because a lot of people would say, no, we're not doing nothing at the backyard. We're just going to go to the show. Now, right. With that being canceled, they're going to say, well, let's just do a little something in the backyard. We'll have a barbecue. You got to do something to keep the kids occupied. So, I think even if it's a $20 expense, it's going to be a lot more than we had in the past and then we might start a new trend with those same people saying, hey, you know what? Skip the crowds and the big town shows. This was kind of really nice. We sat in the backyard. The kids had fun, and we don't even have to go to town. So it might work out better for us in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. And it won't really affect price. You already got your product in, right? So you're not going to do anything. You're not going to jack up the price, anything like that.
No.
Just the demand is going to be there, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have more demand. Do you think it's going to affect maybe more like reloadables or aerials or 500 grams because people won't see those?
Well, different areas are different, So we're pretty much a lot of into 500 grams in the North Dakota region. But, I don't think, I think all across the board, I think we're going to see a lot more fountains and safe and sane stuff being sold maybe to the people who don't usually go to the town shows.
What do you think, Steve?
Well, I think, from that standpoint, that's probably a very good point that Johnny made because, most of the areas, I think, that are really heavy with the 500 grams and the aerials, I think that they're not seeing some of the drawback from the COVID effect in their city shows. Like out here in Missouri, everything out here is pretty much, as far as I've heard, planning on going ahead with no changes. And this is 500 gram aerial country. But when you get to a lot of these large cities, particularly those on the coasts, those are safe and sane areas. And I could see, a lot of those kind of people saying, well, we have no other fireworks. What are we going to look for? Well, they're going to buy what they have to sell. And if you have people that don't have a lot of experience with fireworks, they'll probably migrate to the fountains like, Johnny mentioned, because they aren't familiar with the operation of some of the more heavy duty stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to see a lot of smaller families coming together and just buying some, like I say, little kid stuff and some fountains and just safe stuff, just something to have in the backyard and do a little something for the kids.
Have you noticed any difference in buying patterns up until this point so far, either one of you?
I have not, no.
No, none at this point. Too early.
Okay, well, and then let's go further with the inventory. So assuming there is an abundance of bee inventory on hand for next year, does that have any effect on manufacturing for next year for you guys? Or even, for the bee guys, I would imagine it's going to be a slow year buying stuff. You got to keep that stuff in the bunker and just wait it out. But does that, in China, do different companies produce B than C, or do they produce both, or how does that work, and would it have any effect?
Well, well, go ahead.
Go
Steve.
ahead, John.
Yeah,
you take this one.
I think. Some of the companies do both, but pretty much it's different factories and different companies. I think the production in B is going to be way down. It might, and like I said, it's not going to really help us. I don't think it's going to help us too much on the C side of it, especially with the new licensing and all that. I don't think it's going to really bother too much our production on the C side as far as making it better for us. I think it's going to stay the same. Yeah. What do you think, Steve?
I think I would think that in some of the larger, 500-gram stuff, and I'm not talking about the racks, because that's the whole big problem now is those 3-inch racks overseas with China steel. But, for me, example, I've got a bunch of stuff that's made at a factory that does a lot of Class B cakes. But they don't do Class B aerial shells, but, they may make a lot of 2-inch cakes, think about your 2-inch 36 shot salutes.
Yeah.
Okay? Or, we used to shoot when I was on the B side. One of our most popular items was the red, white, blue salute cake. And this particular factory where I have some of my larger caliber, 1 3/4 inch or 1.5 inch tube cakes made. I don't think they're going to be making all those cakes for the B side. So I'm kind of actually hopeful, and some of the initial conversations are that it looks like they will have no production problems next year in terms of meeting orders. So,
I agree. Yeah,
that's a small segment. It's a small segment of what we sell, but I don't think I agree with you. It's not going to hurt us at all.
Yeah,
it'll help us a little bit, but only in a very few factories, because by and large, the guys that do the professional grade stuff, they just don't for the consumer market.
Yeah.
Okay. When we talked last, I think it was in mid-April, April 20th, we discussed transportation. You guys got any update on that? Whether it's coming from China or from the port to the warehouse, everything in, you guys got everything you need? I know you said that you were anticipating a big issue getting this stuff actually to the warehouse, to your warehouse. Has everything gone through?
My stuff has been flying through, so I'm good. Yeah, I've been real good.
That's good.
We've been seeing it move right through the system. It's been great. Everything's moving through CBP real well. And that was a big thing. NFA went after, that whole topic back in March. And, we had calls with representatives and things like that. Don't know if that helped. Certainly didn't hurt. But, everything's moving really well right now.
Good. What about that last mile, right, to the consumer? I think John's Uber idea, deliver a 9-shot and a 9-inch pizza. How's that?
I'm liking it.
Have you geared up? You ready for any curbside delivery, or is this, what are your thoughts on that still at this point?
Well, for me, I'm definitely doing curbside pickup because even in the restaurant business, I don't think they're going to go back to non-curbside pickup because people are so lazy and they just gotten so used to this. And now they're like, I think they're going to keep curbside pickup on for a long time after this is even over. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely going to promote. We've always promoted personal shopping, and now personal shopping just got better. Also curbside pickup. So we're all geared up for that. I have signs made for curbside pickup, so I'm ready to go with that because I think that's just a way of the future for these lazy people who just don't want to do nothing. I mean, I can't even stay. I can't even stand being in a drive-through this whole last couple of months because to me it's boring.
The lines are too
and
long. Yeah.
they're long, and I'd rather just walk in, get my coffee, and go. But there's other people who just love drive-throughs. They'll do whatever. So
I'm with you.
For me, I'm gearing up for the curbside pickup. If they use it, they use it. If they don't, they don't. But it's easy for me.
What about you, Steve?
Well, I don't sell any retail,
okay.
So, from my standpoint, I'm purely a wholesale distributor type guy.
Oh, okay.
But in talking to my customer base, they are all preparing for just what Johnny said, curbside pickup options, some sort of way to be social distance friendly. Let's face it, with this whole thing, there's two sides to the coin. You're going to have some people that think this is all way overblown. They don't care, and they want to do it just like they did it 2 years ago. But you're going to have some people, a segment of the market, that's going to be actually concerned about it, And so I think the smart business plans for that, and then they can meet the services or needs of everybody that's going to be utilizing their business. And I think that's just smart, so.
I didn't realize you didn't have any retail. I didn't realize you were just all strictly wholesale.
Yeah. I'm just an importer, wholesale distributor guy. I do not pursue retail. If I tried retail, my wife would probably that'd be the end of me. That down. I'd be done. I'd be done.
All right.
Well, at least you're not in denial.
Yeah. Well, I'm factually aware.
Yeah. Well. Hey, yes, Steve.
Ron, I wanted to jump in and just say, we were talking about, lack of professional shows or whatnot, but people buying more consumer fireworks. And, Johnny mentioned a good point that people might be going out and buying reloadables and that kind of thing. I think this year in particular, without the bigger shows, people are going to want to see stuff going up in the air. And there might be people who aren't necessarily as familiar with these devices. I think this year, in particular, that we have a real opportunity to talk about safety.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that NFA will really be able to step into, talk about, don't always have a designated shooter, making sure that you guys have, hose or a bucket nearby, how to properly dispose of spent devices. So I think it's going to be a real big opportunity for NFA to talk about our safety messages this year.
Yeah, I think you're right on that because there's going to be a lot of what I call newbies to the fireworks industry this year, and this is a great time to capitalize on that.
Don't hold a mortar on top of your head, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
yeah. Just make it look bad for everybody.
Yeah, it'll be a great year to capitalize on that. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. You know what? I noticed, and it was on your Twitter, and I guess both you guys, Larry and Steve, you can respond to this. The Boston Pops, they modified their 4th of July event to virtual. And the NFA, you guys immediately posted a statement saying you were disappointed in the mayor's decision to cancel the live fireworks, considering, and I had read about this, that the Bostonians were able to view the 104th Fighter Wing of the Massachusetts National Guard. So what's up with that? Have you guys had any formal response, public response? And good for you guys for touting that, because it does seem a little, however you want to say it, but it seems a little not fair. You won't let people gather to watch fireworks, but you can all gather to watch these airplanes going overhead. It seems a little not fair. So can you give me a little bit more insight on that? What happened there, and have you heard anything back?
Steve, you want me to take
Larry,
this? Or?
Yeah, Larry. Well, the reason I want Larry to take the lead is because he really deals with all these press outlets. I mean, that's his expertise. So let him talk about that.
Yeah, I've been working to keep a list of which cities are canceling fireworks shows, and to be honest, it's kind of like throwing water off a sinking ship with a bucket. I just can't keep up. And when I saw Boston come through, Boston's kind of, it's the home of John Adams, and like the whole inspiration for celebrating the 4th of July is from his wife. Talking about illuminations from one end of the continent to the other, and Boston is the first city in America to officially proclaim 4th of July a holiday. So knowing that history, it was a little disappointing that Boston canceled it. And yeah, and as I was kind of looking at it, I was like, wait a minute, you guys know that I'm in DC, and we just had the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels fly over and do that tribute. Everybody came out and they were out on the National Mall, and I was like, I wonder if they did that up in Philly. I know they went over to Boston, and I know they went up to New York, and so I checked, and they didn't go to Boston, but the 104th International Guard in Boston did, and as I told Steve, and I think I put it on our Facebook page, or Twitter feed. I think, the only other thing we want to see in the sky other than our fireworks is those fighter jets, because they're both synonymous with freedom. And so we put out a statement expressing our dismay or our disappointment, and we haven't heard anything back. But and we got a little bit of pickup on it, but it was important for us, I think, at that moment in time to stand up for the industry, because we've got guys on the Class B side, we've got consumer firework guys. So it's important for us to stand up and say, hey, we can still shoot off fireworks and watch things in the sky just like we did in Boston, or just like you did with the fighter jets. People can come out from all over. They can stand on their balconies. They can be socially distant, and they can do it in a safe way. And so that was kind of the point. And so we wanted to make a statement.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
what struck me with it was, I thought, wait a minute. Boston canceled fireworks? I mean, Boston was where the whole Independence Day thing really started, with the Boston Tea Party.
Right.
Yeah. It was like that just, to me, was an incredible irony. And, it seems like this thing's become so political. And, I thought, gosh, why do we politicize our national heritage? I mean, that shouldn't be used as something to try to trigger people one way or the other. I mean, it's our national heritage. This is where we came from as a country, as a citizenry. And, we've accomplished so much and so many great things. I thought, gosh, one of the first major ones to bow out was where it all started. And when Larry kind of approached me about it, I said, we've got to say something. I mean, we're duty bound almost, to the industry and to the heritage of fireworks to,
right.
To stand up for this.
And to be the first one to bow out really makes it worse on them. It's not like they followed somebody else. I mean, they're the first ones to bow out, and that just sets a precedent, I think. So that's.
I mean, to be honest, John, I was, I'm trying to keep as close track of this stuff as I can. But I know that New York came out and said that they were going to find a way to shoot. Yeah. And celebrate, and I was like, And to be honest, New York is kind of the epicenter of the whole coronavirus epidemic right now. So, I mean, if New York can find a way to do it, I think some of these other cities and towns should be able to find a way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're not advocating people come together on the National Mall and sit shoulder to shoulder. I mean, people can drive up. They can sit in parking lots on the sides of the roads. They can watch from their homes. I saw there was a town out in California. It's either Pleasanton or Elk Grove, but it's right outside of Sacramento. That they're going to be doing one, and they're going to shoot their fireworks off from an undisclosed location. And that's the great thing about fireworks. They go up in the sky, so everybody can see them from everywhere. And so that'll prevent people from, gathering in one place to get, to see them. So, there's different ways to skin that cat. And, we're a little hopeful that some of these mayors are going to think outside the box.
And also, we're still 46 days out. I mean, 47 days out. I just don't see people giving up, right? I mean, come on, 47 more days? I mean, we got time. Let's just go ahead with plans. I think it's easier to cancel at the last minute than it is to cancel now and not do nothing. I think just go ahead with plans and like you say, there's social distancing. You could do stuff. I mean, states are opening up. 47 days is a long time.
Right, and we were reading the story earlier about Zambelli, and they did mention that they are amending their contracts, and if for some reason the shoot doesn't go off, they're allowing it. They're postponing it to later in the year, or even postponing it till next year. So they're not looking to hurt anybody, and I think they want to see the fireworks go up just as much as anybody else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, no, this isn't. I think at the bottom of this whole thing, and as a former display company guy who shot shows. I mean, I started shooting Class B shows for the 4th of July back in the late '80s, and it wasn't about, of course I just worked for a company then, I was just a paid hand. But, for me, the pride wasn't, I wasn't thinking about money or anything like that, and I can tell you the company that I was working for, they really didn't think about the money side of it either. Their number one goal was get the show in the air. Because it's 4th of July, and there was an immense amount of pride around it. And, canceling, 2 weeks ago for the 4th of July, that's like throwing in the towel at the opening of the first quarter of the Super Bowl.
That's the way I feel.
I mean, who gives that up? Who says, we surrender? Because you have no idea what's coming down the pike. So I just, it started breaking my heart, really. And I was talking with, another board member, Scott Smith, who is president of Cobra Firing Systems. And, he was telling me a story about a private enterprise in New York State that they have like, they do, like pumpkin patch stuff for Halloween, and they have all these seasonal things that they do. Well, they had a fireworks show here maybe a weekend or two ago. I can't hold me to the date, but he said the way they did it was they basically said, hey, we're going to do this celebration, and we want everybody to come out, and you can buy your tickets in advance and put in for these packets of service, meaning food or drink or whatever. And they had them all set up in parking, and all these people pulled in and parked, and it was kind of like a drive-in. Remember the old days of the drive-ins?
Yeah, absolutely.
And everybody pulled up, and they came to their cars. They delivered their goods for whatever they signed up for, and everybody watched the show. And he said he thought it sold out in like 2 days.
Wow.
So everybody was clamoring for an event to go to. And this wasn't even tied to the 4th of July. This was just an event that they used fireworks as the draw. And he said this thing sold out overnight. It was just massively successful. And they did it with all these social distancing protocols in place. And it wasn't a problem. So, I'm a believer that where there's a will, there's a way. And anybody that's in the fireworks business knows that, because, I had a guy told me time when I was on the B side, he said fireworks acronym. He said that it was an acronym, and what it meant was that no matter what your best laid plans were, at the last minute everything was going to kind of go sideways, but you'd figure out how to overcome the problem, and you'd make the show go off. And he said if you can figure out words that go to those letters in the acronym, he says you'll have figured out the ultimate riddle of fireworks. And he's right. He was really right, because in my life in fireworks, that has happened so many times, but the industry always figures out a way to make it happen. It just takes the will and the effort and the belief that what we're doing is right. And if you apply yourself, we can overcome anything.
Well, I always say, what do I always say here? Just got a brain freeze. What I always say is there's, where there's a will, there's a way, and you're gonna make it work. And there's really no problems, only solutions. So that's the way I feel about everything in life. And fireworks being my specialty, that's like number one. It always happens.
Well, yeah, that's why you get paid the big bucks.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey guys, have you had any response or anything about the Save the Fourth petition for Donald Trump? I know NFA was working on that as well. What's the status of that?
We're still trying to push the petition.
Yeah.
Sometime this coming week, we're going to send the petition over to the president. We're almost at 2,000 signatures. We're hoping to get 2020.
Okay.
2020 signatures. Ron and John, I hope you guys have both signed it.
We will after we hang up with this.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ron, how come we haven't?
What? We got to do that. Practice what we preach. Absolutely.
Exactly.
So we're working on that. And, we've got this coming week, Congressman Dusty Johnson from South Dakota. He's one of the top champions of fireworks in Congress, and he's going to introduce a resolution that I don't know if it's going to be after the podcast comes out. I'm not sure when this is coming out, because I know we always pre-record, but it's going to be sometime next week.
This should come out on
it's
Monday.
Going to be commending it's going to be commending the fireworks industry. It's going to thank the fireworks industry for their contributions to promote patriotism. And it's going to have some language in there about small businesses and job creators, and that they're the cornerstone of the fireworks industry. And of course, Congressman Johnson's from South Dakota, so he's going to talk about Mount Rushmore and thank President Trump for bringing those fireworks back to Mount Rushmore. So we're excited to have that come out. Watch our Twitter feed and our Facebook page to kind of see the status and how that's going to be moving along through Congress. So, we're still making that push to save the Fourth. And with all these cancellations around the country, we need to raise awareness of what the firework industry is and who we are and what we're trying to do, especially in this time.
Yeah, absolutely. You're here. Hey, and I know we always ask you, and I hate to put you on the spot, Steve, but any news or updates on the convention in Tennessee coming up in September? You guys thought about that anymore?
We have, and didn't put me on the spot at all. That's been at the forefront of our mind, but we're totally planning on having it. We have no plans to not hold the convention.
Good.
We're holding the faith, and we already most of the booth slots. I was actually talking to Nancy, our executive director, yesterday, and she said the booth slots are totally just chock full. She says they're almost filled up. So the response has been incredible. I think the industry is pretty much going under the assumption that this is going to happen. We are going to do this thing. No, we're not in the surrender mode for anything.
Good.
And when I say we, I mean the industry itself. I'm not saying just the NFA. I'm saying the entire industry. I think there's a lot of solidarity here, because the one thing about the fireworks industry that I love is that everybody that's in it, from all stripes, from all backgrounds, the one thing they have in common is their love for the fireworks and their love for the United States of America. And, it's so nice to see such a positive response to our expo, but also to speaking to the industry as a whole. And, our Save the Fourth petition, first came out, and now I am almost looking at it like a redefine the Fourth petition. Because, this is what the country needs. This is what the United States needs. We need to get together. Sometimes great adversity brings collaboration, and it creates togetherness. And, the one thing about America is, and we saw it after 9/11, and that was a moving part in our history, the most moving part probably in my lifetime. And you saw the country unite behind a common theme. And I think as we come through this, coronavirus and all the stressors and all the worry that it's created, and it's truly uncharted waters. I think the one thing is that the American people, are grounded in the fact they love their independence, they love their country, and everything else aside, I think that, the most important thing about the 4th of July right now is to serve as that unifying factor.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, good. Well, I mean, I know we look forward to seeing you out there in Kentucky. That'll be a good time. Or Tennessee. That's right.
Yeah.
Tennessee. And Kingsport, Tennessee, I'll say this, the cool thing about the expo is I think this year's going to be awesome, because the Kingsport Mets is a New York Mets minor league team that plays there in Kingsport.
Okay.
But the city owns the stadium, so the shoot site is a 5-minute jaunt.
Perfect.
From
nice.
I mean, it's not even a drive. It's like you pull out, you turn right, you drive 50 miles an hour for a few miles, you exit off, you hang a left, you turn right, and you're there. Boom.
We'll get Dino to walk it.
Kingsport has been, they're all in on this. So
good.
I'm excited about it, and I think everybody should be. And I would say to everyone in the fireworks industry, we will see you in Kingsport.
One other thing I want to add, how are responses coming from overseas China? Now, I got an email yesterday from one of the Chinese companies to pay Nancy for the booth, as I always pay for them. And I was wondering, everyone else from China's taking up some pretty good, booth space?
They have been.
Good.
We haven't received all of the booths in from China that, we see them occupy. So what I would tell them is you better get reserved because those booth spaces are going fast.
Yeah.
We can't, sit and hold forever. But yeah, their response has been very positive.
Good.
Everything else aside, we're seeing we're seeing the reservations come in. And I know when we opened up the first night of the registrations where we opened up for all the demos, John.
Yeah.
Those demo slots and the registrations, once we open that thing up, they flood in. It's like floodgate. And, that's all the vendors that are all the demo companies trying to get in. And that didn't change this year from any year in the past.
Good.
So I think it's all there. I mean, the one thing the NFA's done is, we've said, and we've isolated all of the monies that are being taken in relative to the expo because we understand this whole COVID thing, Heaven forbid that this fall there could be a resurgence, which, we all pray that doesn't happen for all kinds of reasons, not just the expo. I mean, big picture.
Yeah.
But, we're keeping that all set aside so that, if somebody registers and this thing has to be canceled because of some instruction, those monies, can either be applied to an advanced registration for the following year, or they could be refunded if it was absolutely necessary. But I, for one, plan on even if we cancel this fall, I'm not going to ask for a refund. I'm just going to say put it on the next year. NFA's got work to do. Get on with it.
No, exactly. I would do the same. Yep, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Steve, unless you got anything else, we'll just leave you with a quote. I looked one up, a Fireworks quote. This one is from Jerome K. Jerome. He's the writer of Second Thought of an Idle Fellow. Never heard of the guy, but his quote is, "One example of a solid but inexplicable fact ruling all human efforts, your fireworks won't go off while the crowd is around." So there you go.
There you go.
How you like that one, Steve?
There you go. And I even had one ready for you.
Good. All right, well, go ahead. Yeah, do me up. What do you got?
Okay, so I went back to the very beginning. I went back to probably one of the best writers of America in history. One of the most eloquent writers, Thomas Jefferson.
Nice.
Okay.
And, this one speaks, I think, to the fact that, a lot of people around the country, are facing these stay-at-home orders with their businesses, and they need to have their businesses function, but they want to do it in a respectful way. But here's the quote from Thomas Jefferson. "I hold it that a little rebellion now and then is a good thing, and it is as necessary in the political world as storms are in the physical."
Wow.
I like it.
There you go, Steve. I love it.
Steve always just blows. He blows away your quotes. Your quotes are like meaningless after he speaks.
I'm trying not to be political.
He's got.
I'm not trying to be political. I'm just trying to say that, there it is from one of the greatest wordsmiths in the history of the United States of America. Because I was talking to a customer and, they said, there's contention around whether or not they're going to be able to open, but they actually sent me an email today that they said, we are going to exercise our constitutional right.
Yeah.
There you go.
And,
well, good.
We hope it doesn't ever have to come to that, but, it is
we
the
don't,
American.
We don't want to rebel against all things political because we need to support our champions in Congress like Dusty Johnson and Senator Moran. So
yeah.
We'll rebel against some of them and support some of them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not a statement of political. That's a statement of, that's just a darn good quote. And it's something to think about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Steve.
Our allies in Washington at the NFA are amazing, and Dusty Johnson has been a champion of ours. He really has.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Steve, thank you very much, sir. Larry, thank you very much. Good to talk to you guys. And if we don't talk to you before then, have a happy, safe, healthy 4th of July. And we will see you in Kingsport come September for sure. But I'm sure we'll talk to you before then.
I'm sure we will.
We
And
hope so.
Thanks again. Yeah, you guys stay safe. And I was going to say, surrender in the fireworks business is like suicide. We don't have a choice to surrender. We got to keep fighting, or we might as well just jump off a bridge.
Yeah, but if you remember before all this COVID stuff happened, things were a little polarized, right, with the APA and everything going on. So this really
maybe it brought everyone together.
It did bring everybody together. So I think that's a good thing. So we'll look at the silver lining. We'll move forward. Right, guys?
Yep.
That's right. That's exactly right.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Good talking to you.
Thank you, guys.
You guys too.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for all you do for the industry. Take care.
Thank you.
Guys.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Star Fireworks is located right off I-29 at the Wild Rice exit. If the sign out front doesn't say Star Fireworks, keep driving.